Okay, so I'm very happy to welcome our first English speaker, Professor Braverman from Italy, to deliver his lecture on the following subject: Toponymic surnames in Italian Jewish onomastics, a Hindi source. Please. Okay. Sure.
You didn't send me your.
You have 20 minutes.
Yes. This is this. This was. I don't know who that is.
Thank you to you. Thanks to all. Jacob, can you tell me when I have 10 minutes? Okay. So the subject of my lecture will be on
Microphone. Push the button down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's working.
On a particular kind of surname, which is a Jewish Italian surname, which is very popular because it's a high percentage of Italian Jewish family names, and first short historical, very short because not a lot of time, historical figure of how the Jews arrived in Italy. In Italy they lived since the Roman times, many community. We had pre-modern migration from Israel, of course, from Spain and from North Italy, and this had strong effect with the formation of the Jewish population in Italy. What I want to stress is that the pre-modern migration from Spain, for instance, which happened before 1492, left some traces in all Italy, but now you can demonstrate this first wave of immigration just in Sicily, because in the other part of Sicily, the first migration melted with the later stronger migrations. So after the expulsion from Toledo, Mallorca, Barcelona, and Huesca, some Jews arrived in Sicily, and there are some sources where you can demonstrate the arrival of these first Jews in Sicily. This is modern migration. 1482 Jews were expelled from our islands. Then most of them went in the Ottoman Empire, some went in South Italy. Then you see 1541 they were expelled from central South Italy. And then there was the beginning of the building of the ghettos with the famous two papal bulls in the papal state from 1555 to 1569. Jews were expelled and forced in the two ghettos of the papal state. Then they began to build ghettos in North Italy and in Tuscany too. This is explanation of the use of first name in Italian Jews, and I will speak about it later if I have time, because before family names, first name were more important in Jewish customs. So in Italy there were no laws to force Jews to adopt family names. It happened that they used in the Ashkenazi world they were forced to use family names. In Italy it happened by custom for historical reasons. The fixation of surnames varies and changes according to the different states of Italy and condition of the Jews. The family names were more unstable until the 15th century, when Jews could move easily and the population were more unstable in our peninsula. In the 16th century, as I showed before, they began the expulsions and the setting up of the ghettos. In that period, the Jews began to use family name. One of the characteristics of the Jewish Italian surname is a high percentage of toponymic surnames. This, and this is my strong belief, is because the Jews were forced with large numbers in the ghetto in the period when they were expelled and forced to move from one part to from abroad to Italy and from one part to Italy to the other. The main question they ask me often, when the Jews began to use family names in Italy, is not easy to answer. Just in any community or any locality, this phenomenon changes. I have some example. Wait a moment. Okay. This is the classification of Jewish surnames according to Diccionario separati dei soprenomes. You see, the toponymic is one of the different kind of Jewish family name the Diccionario records. I propose an emendation. Also, the language of in which the Jewish family name is expressed is important. For instance, Pinkerle has got a German origin, and because it's not an Italian word, and like Toaf, Aftar, and Khabib has got Hebrew origin, and we have even Pinkerle and, for instance, Orefici or Amati, which are the Italian equivalent, and of this family of Jewish family names. What surprised me very much is that among the many languages that in which are expressed the Italian Jewish family names, you see Italian, Hebrew, French, German, Arabic, Spanish, Portuguese, Greek, and Latin. Also, the toponymic family names are expressed not always in the language of the place of origin. And I will explain later how it happens. Yes, speaking about the family name, derivative from place name, the methodological question is not about meaning, but about references. That is, there are some family names with geographic origin, which refer simply to areas, like Sephardic, Ashkenazi, and that is not very helpful for the research I'm doing. So different range of geographical precision and ambiguity, because in some cases the same place has the same name of place is situated in different countries. So if I find that, for example, the family name Castro could derive from many places in Italy and even from Spain. So countries, you see, that gave origin to Italian toponymic family names: Gallico, Alemano, Tedeschi, Todeschini, Teutonico, Spagnoli, Portoghesi, Ungaro, Polacco. This gives a general information on the origin of the family, but is not very useful for the research I'm trying to do. So for the moment I divided in countries and region, which I understand is not historically very logic, because some regions are more important than countries in the 16th century. Pugliese, Toscano, Siciliano, Provenzale, Lusitano, Lusatia. Yes, in this case the toponymic family name derived from a Latin word, because Lusatia is a Latin form of Lausitz. and Moravia. Then there are family names with toponymic origins, which derive from town, village, and so on. And my research focused on that sort of source to build up map of origins of the Italian family names. So I will give now some example of how the family name can lead to figure the origin of the Jewish population of some Jewish community, always taking a lot of care on the methodology, because it's very easy to take wrong information, also from good sources on meaning and origin of Italian Jewish family name. At the hand, I have a sheet with some big mistake I found in good researches of the year 30s or 40s in Italy on the origin of family names. So this is language. About Milano. Milano is a town without, as you know, it's North Italy, in a plain without a port. Is quite closed to the west by the Alp mountains, and is more connected with the Ashkenazi world. So around 4,000 Jewish are quoted in documents of the Duchy of Milan, and around 240 have clearly geographical reference. These sort of family names, which give a general and a vague place of origin, I simply recorded, but are not useful for my research. Sorry. So you see, some takes a name of a town, and these are the useful source for the research I'm doing. So many of these places were wrong understood until, let's say, 50 years ago. Now we have much more instrument to find and understand the meaning of many words and place names which are on Google and so on. So of course, Katzenbogen, Pregeste, Treves, Weiler. You can build a map of the family, of the toponymic family names in the Duchy of Milan, and I amended. I took away all the general or national toponymic family names, and just the town names which are clearly and surely identifiable. The same thing can be done with another town, which is Cuneo. In Cuneo there is a list of head of families of 1,596. And most of the family names, all except one, are toponymic. Many are from Italy, some are from Portugal. For each family name there is an origin on the right. I extracted only the sure family names from Provence and came up a map of the places which gave origin to family names in Cuneo. As you see, is very clear that the expulsion from France and Provence gave origin to family names in the town of Cuneo. Fortunately, this source is quite old because of the 16th century, and helps you to imagine the origin of the Jewish community of Cuneo. Then Genova. Genova is a town, as you know, with a port, and was one of the spots of arrival of the immigration 1492. There are very interesting and touching records of the arrival of the ship from Spain, 1492. Here the ghetto was built around 1660, and most of the family names are Spanish, except one. So these are the head of the families in the Genova. One is not Spanish because it's Foa, which derived from Foix in France, so in Provence. The other are most in Spain. Again, I discovered some origin of some Spanish places, family names, which the Diccionario Separati de Soprenomes didn't understood. For instance, La Peña, which is of the family name Peña, which is in Salamanca, has nothing to do with pine trees, and it would be quite strange to find a family name which derives from the fruit of the pine, and other which I will show later. In Siena, the ghetto was built in 1572. Siena is in the center of Italy, has no port. Most of the family names in the ghetto, I found new unpublished list of family of Jews ghettoized, and they are quite useful. And you can build a map of the arrival of the Jews in the ghetto of Siena. As you see, most of the places of arrival which left a scene in the family names is in Italy. Just few are from France, and always from the part of France which was a place of expulsion in the 14th and 15th century. If you want, I can also give a detailed name of all the places which I spotted on the map. Livorno, this nowadays is the first full list of the Jews in Livorno. It's quite late, 1785, but lists all the head of families of the Jews in Livorno. It is useful because it's complete. And if you enter the name, of course, you will find a population of Jews arrived by the sea. If you want, I can briefly tell the story of the town of Livorno. Tuscany had a Roman port in Pisa. Then the Arno River closed the port with the depot of the river. And the Medici needed a new port. And they built a new port, inviting Jews from all the Spanish, Spain, and all the Mediterranean to set up in Livorno freely, without inquisition. So Livorno became a place of strong immigration, mostly of Spanish and Portuguese Jews. My research wanted to understand where. Because in the same period, Tuscany had two ghettos, Firenze and Siena. So the population of Livorno arrived from Spain and the Mediterranean, but also from internal towns of Tuscany, because to avoid the ghettoization is internal. So my question was where the population and how is population is composed in Livorno. This is the first statistic starting from the meaning and the language in which the surname is expressed. There are many not determinate words like Cohen, Levi. There are some Italian places which gave origin to Jewish family names, some Spanish, and some Hebrew words. So again, I amended all the family names which that don't give me a straight point to a town. Let's see. I removed all toponymic surname with general meaning or with ambiguous meaning because they point to different towns which I cannot identify clearly. So, for example, Belmonte, we have 4 in Italy, Belmonte places, and 1 in Portugal. If I found the family name Belmonte, I cannot directly connect to the place. Castello, there are more than 20 in Italy. Castelnuovo, more than 30 in Italy. Castro, there are many Castros in Italy and also in Spain. Miranda is also a name of a place in Italy and in Spain. Unfortunately, when I found generally family names of Gallico, Alemanno, Tedeschi, that don't help me to build the map, but a large percentage is exactly identifiable as a place name. So this is a map of the toponymic family names in Livorno in 1785. As you see, Spain is very well covered, and also Italy. Those are Jews which probably escaped from the Stato della Chiesa, from the church state, when settled in Livorno, and there they kept the memory of the place of origin in Livorno. Spain. The map can be seen here with all the spots and the name of the places in the spots. This is a census of 1841 and gave the origin of the Jews in Pitigliano. Again, modern migration, you see the state of the church expelled the Jews in 1569. If you build up the same map of the Jews in the ghetto of Rome, the family names connect to these places. Most of them are south of Rome because the Jews who settled in the ghetto, they could not emigrate anymore to southern Italy because they were banned from that area. So probably the Jews of northern Rome, they came in Tuscany. We are now in central Italy. Yes, this is a very interesting census of 1733 of Rome, which I don't think I have the time to explain. So I also in this case, you can build a very interesting map, which I did. But for the moment, I want to explain you the different linguistic variation of Italian toponymic surnames. In some case, the surname is exactly the name of the place today. So, for instance, you can find the family name Milano, Padova, Ancona, Perugia, which is exactly the name of the place today. And in the case of Rome, 1/3 of the toponymic names are exactly the name of the place. So it's very easy even to do a program which spot on the map the name of the place. In some case, the toponymic surname is a genitive. So from Bassano it becomes Bassani, from Pitigliano becomes Pitigliani, Terracina becomes Terracina, and so on. It takes the E of the genitive, like most of Italian family names. In other cases, adjectivation is when from a family place, from a name of a place, it becomes an adjective. Fiorentini from Firenze, or Costantini from Costanza, Romano from Rome. So this adjectivation of a name of a place. Then the most of the family names take the preposition de, of da, from, and in many articulate forms with disegni della pergola, dei tivoli, della riccia, dell'anguillara. So in Rome, the 60% of the family name has got, of toponymic family name, has got the articulate from, della. Also anguillara, which sounds quite strange in Italian, it's a name of a place in the area of Rome. And then there are the diminutive, which Romanello, which is a small from Rome, Spagnoletto. Okay, yes. If you want, I can explain in detail my technique of research, and especially today with the database and the thesaurus of family names. And you can explain some family names that just 30 or 40 years were unsolved or a mystery. For instance, sanguinetti, which sounds quite strange in Italian, because sangue is blood. Sanguinetti. Attilio Milano, which was a good Italian historian, said that could come from Beracchia, but it's difficult to explain a family name which is connected with the blood. While there are at least two places in Italy. One is Sanguineto near Verona, and the other is Sanguineto near Chiavari. So it's much more probable that it derived from this place. Otto Lenghi, which another important researcher connected with Ettlingen, today if you look, which is far in Germany, so it's much more probable it comes from Gotolengo near Brescia. And Ambron, which another researcher, Carpi, connected with Embrun in Provence, but there is an Ambrone in Castiglia, so it's much more probable. Today, indeed, making databases and name of places connecting is much easier to find real origin. Lucena, which was connected with Luzerne, I think is much more probably from Lucena, which is in Andalusia, because a place Luzerne with yes, which is quite unusual. An immigration from Switzerland to Italy, much more probably from Spain. Noguera, this is a dictionario de soprenomes, connect Noguera with walnut tree, which doesn't have a Hebrew meaning, a walnut tree as the origin of family names. But in Catalonia there is a Noguera, so I would say probably it's Noguera. Cassuto, which the dictionario says is cabezuto, so big head. Now in Beta Tepuzot there is a database and they tell you probably it's come from Garza with the Berber suffix ut, Gapsut, and then Capsuto. And Cardoso, which Diccionario Supranomes says full of thorns. There is a Cardosas in Portogallo. Coelho is not a rabbit, like the Diccionario proposed. It says Coelho means rabbit, but there are Coelhos, at least two Coelhos in Portugal. So if I find in Livorno, for instance, this sort of family name will come from a place problem. This I'm trying to not to stress too much the importance of family names toponymic, but indeed in this case the explanation is much more simple. Peña, which means cliff. There are many places in Spain and Portugal which means cliff, and it could be the origin of the Italian Jewish family name Peña. And so Crespin, there is a Crespino. Yes, this is a statistic which Sergio Della Pergola published, so I just want to say that also he is using with statistical method the family name to demonstrate the origin of the Italian Jewish population, because it's really a handy source, because the family names for Jews often refer to something important. Okay, so thank you. I want to just explain this last image, which is, I found it in Tuscany, and you see Scalonimus ben Yehuda is probably the first signature of an Italian Jew, because of the 10th century, and his name was Scalonimus, and I am Bonomi, so I use it as to myself. Thank you.